By the end of today's episode, you'll know what it means if you're finding yourself auditioning frequently for the same television or streaming show. Welcome to the Actor's Career Compass, where we help aspiring screen actors find high-quality auditions, sign with great agents, and book major roles in legit productions. I'm your host, Martin Benson, and today I'm going to be discussing why being called back to audition for the same show numerous times is a really good sign, how to fine-tune your performance to fit the show's tone and style, and some tips to maintain a strong relationship with the casting team and stay on their list. So first off, let me talk a little bit about what I mean by the idea of getting called back to audition for the same show. Okay, there's two different meanings to this. One is getting a callback, which means you submit an audition, and after the casting team reviews that self-tape, they reach out and say, hey, we love that. Can you submit another self-tape, but apply these notes? Or they might say, hey, we love that. Can you come to this in-person audition or meet us on Zoom for an audition? That's called a callback. And it obviously means that they liked what you did in the first self-tape and they want to see you audition again for the same role and in the same show. Now, the other scenario of called back, which is basically where you're consistently called back to audition more and more for the same show. But in this case, you're doing it over a period of time, and these auditions are going to be for different roles, right? So for example, let's say you have an agent and you get an audition for Law and Order, and you don't book the role or get a callback on that. A few weeks later, your agent tells you, hey, there's another audition opportunity for the same Law and Order show with the same casting director, but for a different part this time. Now, that's an example of getting another audition for the same show, but it's not an official callback, right? But in both of these cases, it's a very, very good sign. If you are being repeatedly called back to audition again and again for the same casting director, right? Different auditions, but on the same show, that's not a coincidence. It means that the casting director likes what they're seeing. They think that you could have a role on the show. They just want to see you consistently auditioning for different parts until they find a good fit. So as long as you keep doing good work, it's usually only a matter of time until you book a role on that show. In general, the casting director probably likes your work and they probably see some potential in you. It also means that they probably think that you would fit well into the show's world, like your type, your energy, your acting style, they all align well with the tone of the show. It also means that the casting director may be testing your range. So they want to see you in a variety of roles to see how versatile and adaptable you are, both to different character types and also different emotional states. And this will give them a better idea of how to cast you in the near future. So it's really important for this reason that you treat every single audition for the same casting director or show as a chance to reinforce their trust in you. Right? So even if you're not booking these roles, consistently being brought back is going to build momentum. And as long as you're doing a good job in all of those auditions, it's going to make the casting director trust you more and more and more over time. Now, to increase your chances of actually booking the role, I actually recommend watching a few of the episodes of the show if you haven't already. This is going to give you an idea of how the characters generally act and interact with one another, and it might give you some clues as to what the casting director is either looking for or expecting. Now, I personally don't recommend that you change your acting style or make drastic adjustments to your performance. You don't want to change things up too much. Most likely the reason that the casting director is continuously bringing you back is because they already like what they see, right? So obviously changing things up too much could hurt your chance of booking the role. But having a better understanding of the show and its characters might give you some subtle insights into the choices that you should be making when you're preparing for the role. For example, what might the backstory of this character be that you're auditioning for? Why might they be saying what they're saying? What things might your character most likely care about, considering the other characters on the show and what they typically care about? The idea is, if you're more familiar with the show, you're probably going to at least have some subtle, tiny little insights that can slightly change your performance, and who knows, maybe it will give you a better shot of booking the role. Now, beyond working to improve or make slight modifications to the performance itself, you can also maintain a strong relationship with the casting director who keeps bringing you back. So some ways to do this: obviously, keep delivering strong auditions, right? So always show up prepared, polished, confident, be on time, be super professional. Always aim to submit your self-tape as quickly as you can. Doing your best to submit it as fast as possible is going to put you sort of towards the forefront in people's minds. I'm going to do a podcast episode soon about why this is so important, but just for now, just try to get your self-tape in as quickly as you can. Obviously, continue to be professional and polite, right? So follow any specific instructions that they provide as closely as possible. And of course, you can also send some thank you notes or simple email after the callback or those bigger auditions to just thank them and show gratitude. Avoid asking for feedback or coming off as overly needy, or obviously trying to convince them to book you for a role if they've already made a casting decision. That's just weird and unprofessional. But generally speaking, again, if you're being called in frequently for the same show, it's a very good sign that you should invest a little bit more time into deepening your relationship with that casting director, or with understanding what the show is all about. For example, one thing you could actually do is you could see if the casting director is hosting any upcoming workshops. Frequently, casting directors who are actively casting for something usually don't host many workshops, but who knows, you might at least write them down, and if you don't ever book a role on that show, you can look into casting workshops that they're hosting in the future once they do host one, and then you could go to one and create that relationship. Another thing you could do is connect with them on social media. Remember, especially if you've never booked a SAG-AFTRA speaking role before, like something that would make you SAG eligible, getting your first speaking role in a major production is, well, basically hiring an actor for that role is a big risk for casting directors. They're very unlikely to book you right away. That almost never happens because they don't trust you enough since you've never been in a major professional production before. So instead, they want to see you over and over again. And this could be anywhere from 3 to 5 or even 8, 9, 10 times, right? As long as you're doing amazing work in each of those auditions and consistently showing yourself to be a true professional, then really it's only a matter of time before you book one of those roles. And when you do an amazing job on set, they're going to probably keep booking you again and again in the future. Well, thanks for listening. Now, if you want to dive even deeper on acting technique and delivering strong performances that capture the casting director's attention, I highly recommend checking out my podcast called How to Use the 4 Levels of Acting to Book SAG-AFTRA Auditions, which is episode number 45. You're going to learn a lot and have a much better understanding of what goes into performances that casting directors take seriously. Again, this is episode number 45, How to Use the 4 Levels of Acting to Book Major SAG-AFTRA Auditions on the Actors Career Compass. Finally, if you're interested in working with me one-on-one, you can learn more about how that works at my website, martinbenson.com. That's MARTIN Benson, BENTSEN. So martinbenson.com. You can sign up for the waitlist there, and you also get some of my top tips to book more acting work. Coaching spots usually open up every few months, and I'll keep you up to date. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon.